Hi, I'm Justin Yomot from College Letter 99, and today I'll be interviewing Ian Miller, who was on the Mariners but got traded to the Twins, and who just got off a little bit of a stint in the major leagues. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
So, you were drafted by the Mariners in 2013, and then later on got traded to the Twins, and then just last this year you got called up. How did you find out, and what was the experience of getting called up to the majors?
Yeah, so I had gotten traded over to the Twins in like middle, early August, and then spent some time in Rochester, which is their AAA. Um, and so it was actually just after a game. I wasn't playing, and I was sitting on the bench, kind of, not upset, but I would just wish I was playing. And after the game, the coach called me into the office and just told me, like, hey man, you're going up, so get ready to help the Twins win. So it kind of just happened all of a sudden, and it was pretty cool, man. I'll never forget it.
Nice, nice. So following up on getting to the majors, what was going through your head when it was on your first at bat and your first game in general?
Hmm. First at bat, first game in general. So you know, I had a game plan and everything, and I went over it a million times in my head before I even got on the field. But as soon as I stepped onto the field, or as soon as I got into the batter's box, and you kind of realize that what's going on, your whole plan kind of just crumbles away. You're just kind of overwhelmed, and I really had to kind of step back and kind of take a deep breath and kind of get back into the present moment of what was going on, and just kind of had to tell myself that it's just baseball. So I was a little overwhelmed at first, and then I made my first play, had my first at bat, all that stuff, and then I kind of just realized that it's just baseball. It's nothing crazy.
Yeah, and so do you have any specific reason to why you won wear number 41?
When I had gotten to Minnesota, um, that was the number that they had. That was the number that they had in my locker. I actually didn't get to pick it, but I liked the number 41 a lot. I actually wore it in Jackson, Tennessee when I was in Double A in 2016. It was number 41 is actually my favorite song, um, and it was written by Dave Matthews Band. So, yeah, pretty funny. But I didn't actually pick number 41 when I was with the Twins, but it is a favorite number of mine.
Well, that's really cool. And yeah, so so you got your first hit off of Jordan Zimmerman and the Detroit Tigers. What was it like, and what was the atmosphere, and how did you feel when you made contact with the ball?
Yeah. So it was a sigh of relief. I had gotten a couple of bats, pinch hits, or when we were down by a couple runs, and he wanted to, the Twins wanted to give their regular guys a break. They threw me in there, and pinch hitting's pretty hard, man. So, the day I actually got my first hit was, I think, the day that I got my first start. Um, so I wouldn't say I was nervous. I was excited, because I knew what I could do. I knew I was going to get a hit. Um, Getting that hit was pretty. It was a sigh of relief. Not wondering if I'd ever get it, but when, I was pretty confident I was going to go up there and put together some good at bats coming out of leadoff spots. So, getting that first hit was big time. It meant a lot to me. So I'll never forget it. It was something that will always be special to me.
Nice, yeah. Did Jordan Zimmerman come congratulate you, or was he just what was he like?
No, no. I think in that moment, his concern is just getting the next guy out. He's not too worried about me getting my first hit. At the end of the day, he's trying to get me out, and I'm trying to get a hit off him. So he didn't. It's not that he didn't congratulate me. My teammates congratulated me. My manager congratulated me. My family and friends congratulated me. But at the end of the day, I'm competing against that guy. That guy's competing against me. So, um, I'm sure, if he was on my team, he would have been happy for me. But in the heat of the moment, we're competing against each other. So I didn't really get to talk to him.
Yeah, yeah. So when you got called up, like, do you feel like Twins fans were like really excited and ready, knowing that you could really help them win?
Yeah, I didn't. It was pretty overwhelming at that time. So I really didn't. I really didn't get to hear too much about the fans and what they had to say. To be honest with you, I'm not a big name guy. I'm not the number one prospect. So I'm sure a lot of the people didn't know who I was, and I kind of like that. I kind of like being that underdog type player, but um, I had an idea of what I could do and what I could do to help the Twins. So, I figured at some point I was going to show them, who I was. And, I did everything I could to make sure they remembered me.
Yeah, and so to kind of follow up on that, do you like interact and like sign autographs and take pictures with fans during before and or after games a lot?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. When I can, like even doing this interview, I don't, I don't know who you are, man, but you're passionate about, sports and what you do. And I try to be passionate about the fans and, especially the younger fans and just showing them that we care, the players care about them and we're playing hard for them. So I always try to, be interactive with the fans whenever I can, when it's appropriate. Um, whatever team I'm on, if we just lose by 10 or 15 runs, it's probably not a great look if I'm staying after and laughing and signing stuff for the fans. But the kids that show up to watch baseball, I try to do everything I can to make it fun for them. And if I can sign something for them whenever I can, I always try to interact with the fans.
Nice. I personally go to a lot of games and like to talk to the players as much as I can. So it's really nice to hear that.
Yeah, yeah, man. I think it's pretty cool to have that interaction. I going to a lot of baseball games. Growing up, I really didn't get to have that interaction, and that's something that I wish I could have had. So I try to just give that to kids and young fans whenever I can. Just have that interaction and just show them that we like to have a good time too, and we care about them.
Yeah. So, what was it like when you like got up to the Twins and like playing with people who you might have idolized when you were still trying to make it? Like, what was it like to play with people who like you idolized?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, man. I idolized Nelson Cruz coming up, and I got to spend a little time with him over in the Mariner system. I didn't get to play with him in Seattle, but I got to learn from him and talk to him and stuff. So being able to uh, be on the same field as him, be in the same locker room as him, that was pretty cool. He's a really cool dude, and there's a couple people that I idolized, not idolized, but like really really respected their game growing up, and to be able to play with those guys and be in the same locker room as those guys, same field and everything, it was a dream come true, and it was pretty cool. Something I'll never forget.
Nice. So, you were recently a free agent this season. What was that like? Being like the situation as a free agency. Like, what was it like?
It was. How do I explain this? It was pretty cool. Being able to get some calls from teams and field some interest and feel wanted and appreciated by other teams is pretty cool. Kind of It kind of makes you feel good. Like, hey, there's other teams that value you and want you. But at the end of the day, it's kind of stressful just because you have to make the right decision in terms of where you're going. You don't just take the. I mean, I guess you could. I don't know how everybody does it, but I really wanted to sit down at the end of the day when I had heard from all the teams that you know I wanted to make sure I was making the right decision. So it is crazy. It's cool, but it can be stressful. And I know some guys that are really good baseball players that still haven't decided where they're going or still haven't heard a lot from other teams. So I'm stressed out for them. Not just me. So it's pretty cool. It's been memorable, but I'm glad that the free agent process is over.
Yeah. So, um, another question I have is, what's like the coolest thing about getting to be in the MLB with an MLB team?
What's the coolest thing? Um, I would have to say the coolest thing. Let's see. What I really liked was the travel. So with the Twins, you got to take a pretty cool airplane, um, and the travel was awesome. The airplane was really comfortable. You can watch as many movies as you want. You can eat whatever you want, and just the hotels are really nice. The cities are really nice, man. It's just a dream come true. I say the coolest part was the obviously playing in the best cities in the country, but the treatment off the field was pretty cool. It was something that I've never experienced before, and that's something that I'll definitely never forget either. That's something definitely that stood out to me.
Yeah. So, um, as a kid, did you collect sports memorabilia at all?
I did not. What I did collect though is when I was growing up, I played like little league baseball. I played tackle football. I played local basketball, all that stuff, and I actually had trophies. I collected my trophies. That was the one thing that I collected. I just had a bunch of them, and I actually had I still had those trophies probably last year. My mom actually just sold her house and moved, but I had those trophies for a long time.
That's really cool. So, you didn't collect much memorabilia. So, but do you like if fans were to send cards of you or something for you to sign? Would you sign it and send it back to them?
Yeah, yeah, I do that, man. I try to make sure I get back, as much, if not everything, that I get signed. So yeah, I do appreciate that, and I do sign and send that stuff back out.
That's really cool. I personally try to send those out and try and get autographs that way a lot too.
Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I know some people that like collecting that stuff, and that's a pretty cool hobby.
Yeah. So the last question was, who was your favorite player or team growing up?
Who's my favorite player or team growing up, man? This is actually pretty crazy, and it's pretty cool. And I think a lot of the players that I played with growing up in the minor leagues and over with the Seattle Mariners know this. But my favorite player growing up was Ichiro Suzuki, and I idolized him, and I watched every single video and highlight and clip that I could find of him, and I still do. I still watch a lot of his highlights. I tried, and I still try to play like him, and I idolize him. And I actually got the opportunity to meet him and be on the same field as him, and just ask him a bunch of questions, man. And he was and still is, one of the nicest human beings in the world, and he is a superstar. And everybody he meets, he treats like they are the most important person in the world, and he remembers people's names. Like he remembered my name. He was my idol, and I think I met him once, and then a month later I saw him again, and he remembered my name. It was pretty cool, man. So, yeah, Ichiro was definitely my. I was his biggest fan growing up, and I idolized him.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on my podcast for this interview. It means a lot to me.
Oh, for sure, man. Anytime. Yeah, you have my Instagram message thing, whatever. So just message me anytime, man. I'll be around.
Okay, thank you. That means a lot. And hopefully I'll get to come see you play sometime. I am a pretty big Cubs fan.
Sounds good, dude. Yeah, if I'm ever in the area, I'll leave you a ticket.
That sounds amazing. Thank you so much. And maybe we can get you on another one sometime.
Sounds good, brother. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.